The sins of our fathers. My ex-wife, I'm going to call her Elsie in here. She kicked out my she kicked my oldest son out more than once while he was growing up. The worst one I can recall was when he was 10. Athena and I were in the process of our divorce. I was working for Bort Longyear, so I was drilling out of town for 20 days straight at a time, working 12 to 16-hour days for those 20 days with no days off in between. Elsie called me and said that she was having issues with my son touching his younger sister. She didn't want him in the home anymore. I could see the issues coming for years. She was in and out of relationships and one night stands. She had issues with neighborhood kids not being the best influence on him. Like I said, she has her own demons, not for me to judge. I had just arrived at the rig for my first of 20 shifts, and my phone starts blowing up. Elsie is demanding that I come pick up Cohen and take him. She can't handle his behavior anymore. Again, I was a minimum of 6 hours away and no chance of making it to him in time to do any good with the situation. I can only imagine what this did to his young mind. The demons he fights with on a daily basis. I pray for you a lot, dude. I have to mention again, Athena is my angel. Athena answered later than I would have answered my phone that night and went and picked up Cohen, took him to her home, and raised him as her own for the year and a half that she and I were going through our divorce. Her and I later worked our relationship out enough to move back in together. She is my angel. But angels have their limits as well, and she drew the line with the call we got 6 years later. A few years ago, I got a call from my ex-wife, Elsie. She was upset again because my oldest son was acting up at her house. I had this conversation a lot with her over the years. He would act up, she would get fed up and kick him out. I would go through all the paperwork with ORS to be the mean dad and disciplined and to be the mean dad and disciplined until he acted like she wanted and she'd let him move back in. This happened a lot for years, 14 to be exact. She, like all of us, has her own demons to deal with. Unfortunately, I had to interact with hers as well. At 16 years old, my son calls me up and said he was realizing I was right and that he needed discipline. He said he was realizing that I was the better parent and that he wanted to come live with us again. I smelled the BS the second it started, so I asked to talk to Mom, who was already screaming in the background. Basically, she told me he had decided he didn't want to go to school anymore and Mom couldn't make him, so he didn't. Then he said he got some girl pregnant, but it's fine because she was going to give it up for adoption anyways. Then his mom starts in about how I wasn't hard enough on him and didn't teach him right. So this is why he's a piece of work like his dad is, and on and on and on. Drama, always drama. What I did not bring up until this conversation with them is that Athena and I had already drawn our line in the sand the last time he chose to move in with her. He came back to visit once in the 2 years between him moving out and this last conversation with him. He had made a few threats to us and his little brother, and we didn't feel safe having him back in the home. It was time for Elsie to learn to parent. Because of the seesaw past this child had between his two homes, I had put my foot down on the last time he wanted to move. I told him that I was not going to allow mid-school year moves anymore. The only one move per year max. This might be a little confusing, but it seemed to work for everyone at the time we made the agreement on the last move. But he and Mom didn't like that I said no, and that he had to start facing his own decisions in life at the age of 16, just like everyone else in the world. So I haven't heard from them since then. Allegedly, he has a Me Too story on social media that states I'm the bad, mean dad. I'm abusive and controlling. I never let him do anything, ever. I never took him to baseball, or the amusement park, or the water park. I never was there when his mom didn't want him in her home anymore. I never cared about his feelings or well being. I was the enemy. I love you, dude, and I know you know that. I pray that when you need to talk about all of this, I can be strong enough to help you. I have healing to do too, and I know you do as well. You just let me know when you're ready to talk, like the grown men we are. I know what it feels like when your parents abandon you like an unwanted pet. I love you. I always have, dude.